Hey, how are you? In this video, I want to share a couple stories that have been the moments, the shifting moments in my career that have gotten to me where I'm at today. And I want to kind of elaborate on them, tell the story, and hopefully they bring some value to you in your life and your journey, and help you find those moments as well. So let's dive into it. All right, so first story that really completely changed the trajectory of the future of my career was the day I started working at Farmers Insurance. I was a brand new person, had no experience even talking in any business related environment to customers, to service, to sales, anything like that. And I walked in my first day, they kind of gave me the phone and they just said, "Go for it, Chris." And one thing my boss did to me that day, towards the end of the day, changed the complete trajectory of my career. He gave me a book, and that book was See You at the Top. It's right here, actually. See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. It's this exact book, actually. And he gave me that book, and he said, "Chris, at this point, just for the record, I had not really read a book from cover to cover. My whole life in school, I was a C plus student, B student. I graduated with decent grades, but I was always just cutting corners. I was reading Spark Notes. I wouldn't read the book completely. I would skim through it. I never really wanted to put in the full, read the whole book. He said, "Chris, I want you to read the first chapter of this book, and tomorrow I'm going to, quiz you on what you read, and you better tell me what you read." And I said, "Wayne, yes, sir. I'm new here. I'm going to make sure I read that book." And I went home that night. I read the first chapter, and I was completely captivated. I couldn't believe what I had just read. I knew there was always something deeper to the mind and what the power of the mind could do. But at that moment, I realized, oh my God, I can control my life with my mind. And so that first chapter got me hooked. He didn't require me to read the rest of the book, but I did it on my own. I read that whole damn book. I've read it now several times, and I'll continue to read it probably for the rest of my life. I highly recommend it. It changed the trajectory of where my mindset, my beliefs, my self-image, my attitude towards others, um, so on and so forth. I highly recommend it. It's changed my life. I'm very, very happy. I'm very grateful for Wayne for that moment, and that was a big, big moment. So it opened up my mind and allowed me to, over the years, develop who I am. And I believe every word inside that book. So that's the first one. Um, there is another moment in my career when I was just getting to the point where I was thinking about starting my own agency. This is 3 years after reading that book. 3 or 4 years after reading that book throughout college. I was still in college and I was deciding, I was getting to the point, I was like a third year, fourth year, almost fourth year in college, senior, and I had to start making decisions like, okay, what am I going to do after college? I've never been good at school, like my grades have always sucked. So I have to decide now, like, am I going to go work for a company? I had been sending out applications. I've been doing insurance. I like insurance. I feel like I'm pretty good at it. They say they like me, whatever. I had this opportunity to go work for this agency that I was already working at. Is that really what I want to do? So I had to start thinking about it. And another book here. This is why I think it's amazing to read. I read the book also given to me by actually my boss's son at the time. His name is Danny. Shout out to Danny. I don't think I've shouted him out enough, but he actually hooked me up with this position at Farmers Insurance. He gave me the book, and it's funny enough, it should be right here. Yeah, it's Think and Grow Rich, another classic that most people know about. And he gave me that book. It was actually given to Danny. I honestly should give it back. I owe you that book, Danny. He gave me that book, and he was like, "Yeah, man, like take it, go for it." So I went home, I started reading that book, and I started. And one key message in that book that I found was in the book. Napoleon Hill mentions that at some point throughout reading this book, you will find the meaning of what it is to think and grow rich. It could happen to you in the first couple pages, or it could happen on the last page of the book, or somewhere in between. And for me, it happens somewhere in between that book. I don't like to spoil it for people, but truly what I came to realize was that if the mind can believe something, it can achieve it. And if it truly can 100% believe something. So anything that your mind can imagine, and the key here is to believe it. Like you can, this is my understanding of it, is that I almost realize like if I can convince myself to believe something, almost like brainwash, borderline like brainwash myself to believe that I can build a $10 million book of business and agency. If I can believe that, if it's truly a belief, then I will do it. So if your mind can conceive and believe something, you will achieve it. It's 100%, but the key there is belief. Everybody can like imagine, blah, 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 but the belief part is like they're in their gut, they're not fully sold. So once you sell yourself, then you will accomplish great things. And I'll never forget, this was 2017. I wrote myself a contract. I said, Chris, on this date, you will sail your ship and never turn back. You will start your insurance agency and you'll burn the ships and you're never going to turn back and you're sending it. Like there's no plan B. That's basically what I was writing in this little contract, signed and dated it, stored it away. Honestly, I need to find that. I don't know where it is exactly right now, but at that moment, I decided I'm going to start my agency from scratch on my own, build a brand, build a business, be my own boss, and have zero plan B. And since then, we've built the business to have well over $2 million in sales now, close to $3 million in sales over the last couple years, which is unreal. And it's amazing to look back. And that's why I share these stories and these messages, because this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Write down your goals, write yourself contracts, put it in a physical form, because if it's just in your head, it doesn't really exist. It's not a tangible thing. Your thoughts will come and go, and you need to write them down in a physical form. Then it's a real existing thing in this world. So write it down. Very, very important. At that moment, signing that contract, there's a story. It's by the general's name is Cortez, and he had an army. They were going to war, so they sailed their ships out to this island where they were going to fight this battle at this new land to fight against the enemy. And they got to the land and they all got off the ships, and he rallied his men, and their men were all excited. And he said, men, are we ready to win this war? And they're like, yeah, we're excited. We're going to win this. And he said, men, now say it with certainty. Do you truly believe, do you believe that we're going to win this battle? And they're like, yeah, we believe. Yeah. So he gets them all excited. He says, do you truly believe? They all agree. And he says, okay, men, now last thing, I need you to burn the ships. The ships will be burned and there is no retreat. If you truly believe we're going to win this, burn the ships. And so that there is sailing your ship, is burning the ship. They went and burned their ships, and then they went on to win that war because there was no retreat. There was no way back other than winning that battle. So little message there, a little story from the book. That's the reason I signed that contract to myself. I basically said, Chris, you're burning your ship. You're going for it. You're starting this agency. And at that moment, I sent it, because I think that's the biggest thing for people, especially when they're just getting going. It's like that leap of faith. And I truly believe this too. I'm not sure where this quote comes from, but they say that anytime you step into the darkness and the unknown, your foot will always land on something. So it's a gamble. It's a risk. There's no guarantee that your agency will be successful, your business will grow and make millions of dollars. There's no guarantee. It's all truly up to you. And also there's surrounding circumstance. There's a level of luck. But the harder you work, the more disciplined you are, the better your mindset is, the more lucky you get. So that's why I share that story.